What's up, everyone? Happy Thanksgiving. Even if you don't celebrate, we've got a great surprise for you to give thanks. What we're going to do today is work you through a mini Kinstretch class progressing our cars training. So if you're not familiar with cars, these are going to be some tough options for you. You're going to be jumping in with us today. All you're going to need for this mini class, a tennis ball and maybe a yoga block. If kneeling low and the floor is uncomfortable for you, have a pillow or something handy. What we want to get first is some wrist cards. We're going to set up our yoga block in front of us. If you don't have your block, you're just going to post your elbow forward on something like this, forearm to the sky, have that tennis ball in your hand. Now, if you're not familiar, CAR stands for Controlled Articular Rotation. Basically, we're going through a high tension joint circle while trying to keep everything else still, moving that joint through its greatest range of motion. To help with this, we are blocking ourselves using this yoga block. We're going to block out our elbow, keep our elbow still, and then we're going to really irradiate tension by trying to pop this tennis ball in your hand. Squeeze it and then slowly drive your knuckles in, extend down towards the floor, drive your knuckles out and fight up to the sky. Only your wrist should be moving, your forearm is still. In and down, fighting through extension, out and up into flexion. Go slow, warm up those wrists. Driving through extension, knuckles outside of forearm, fighting up into flexion. Continue one more time. Knuckles drive in, fighting out, squeezing up, and freeze there. Gotta reverse now. Knuckles go outside of wrist, squeeze in from extension, fight up, and continue. Go slow here. Wrist cars in this position, super high tension. Again, imagine you're trying to pop that tennis ball in your hand. Keep squeezing. You've got one more rep this direction. Flexion, drive out. Squeeze through extension, drive in and up. All right, so go ahead and just flip wrists. Now, if sitting low on the floor is not comfortable for you, easiest thing to do, come into a slightly modified quadruped position and you can go from here. So nothing changes. We're blocked out a supinated elbow. We're squeezing a tennis ball in our hand. Again, you can use your hand to really help keep your elbow still. Your knuckles drive in, we extend down, we fight out, and we squeeze up. As you train your cars along with us, assess which side feels smoother, which side has more range of motion. We're always assessing when we train our joints. From extension, driving out, flexing up, squeezing in and down. You got one more this direction for each way. Knuckles outside of wrist, flex up, squeeze in, fight down. All the way through as you get to flexion, freeze there, opposite way. Knuckles outside of wrist, squeeze down to the floor, fight in and drive up. Usually this direction, tougher for most of us. Knuckles out, really challenging, so go slow and challenge your ability to control this movement. Knuckles outside of wrist, extending down, fighting in, squeezing up, last rep. Keep your irradiation. You're trying to pop that tennis ball, make sure that elbow is still. So, finished up with our wrist, tennis ball can come out of the way, as can your yoga block. Next, we're going to train cat-cows. If you've done cat-cows before, maybe in a yoga class, a Pilates class, something like that, that's great. In our Kinstretch classes, we train the segmented cat-cow with the goal of moving one individual segment of our spine at a time. What we're going to do today, take you through 6 total reps. Going to do 2 traditional cat-cows and then introduce you to a level 2 option. Again, blocking ourselves to get more strict options for the lower back and the upper back. So please come to all fours. Quadruped position. When we do our cat-cows, please don't start yet. Again, we want to use irradiation when we train our joints. The way we irradiate here is a little bit challenging. When you round your back, I want you to be pushing your hands forward in the floor. Danny, show them once, please. She starts rounding up. As she works into flexion, it's really common to lose out on this T-spine and cheat with the scapula. To help with that, you irradiate by driving your hands forward. Now, opposite way, Danny, start tilting into extension. Peel into extension, peel into. As you extend, you're going to drag your hands towards you. Pull. Again, that's going to irradiate all this tissue, help prevent you from compensating with your scapula, help you isolate Jess' spine. Another thing to think about, make sure your hips aren't going forwards or backwards. Make sure you stay right above your knees now. So, big breath in, 2 reps here, hands push forward in the floor, slowly, tucking pelvis, rounding L5, L4, working your way through one segment of the spine. Keep going slower here. Really meditate on that upper back. Remember, hands driving forward, max out high T-spine, chin drops down. That is your cat position. Drag your hands towards you now, start extending, so slow. L5, L4, again, one segment of the spine, trying to move at a time. Peeling your T-spine, lift through your sternum, your chest. Don't crank your neck, your eyes go last. Remember, your hands are dragging towards you now. Just one more rep, hands forward. Tuck, flexion of the lumbar spine. Flexion of the low thoracic spine, work for it. Flexion of the mid thoracic spine, and then that high T-spine, don't neglect it, that very upper back. Your chin tucks under, your hands drag towards you, you tilt, lumbar spine extension. Low T-spine extends, lift the belly, lift the chest, lift the sternum, eyes go last. Get a big breath. So that's our global segmented cat-cow, trains the whole spine. So work on the lumbar spine specifically. What we're gonna do is block out the upper back. Now a level 2 car option. What I want you to do, you're gonna come down to your elbows, ensure they're directly underneath your shoulders. Now flip your palms, bring your head down to your hands. If you need to, slide a yoga block under your forehead there to make it comfortable. Tiptoe your knees underneath so they're straight under your hips. And now round your upper back, rock your weight into that thoracic spine. Make sure you're not cranking on your neck, push through those elbows, generate tension here. We're gonna lock the thoracic spine in this position so we can isolate just the lower back. These are tough, 2 reps here. Tension in that upper back. Start trying to tilt into extension. Extending, extending, extending. Nothing changes, Danny. Hold that, reverse, tuck, flex, flex, flex. These are gonna be small, they're really hard. Just one more. Tilting, tailbone to the sky. L5, L4, L3. That low back extends, tuck, flex, lowest part of the back. Lower, lower, working into it, get that global lumbar flexion. So slowly come up to your hands. That's how we can isolate our lumbar spine. To isolate the thoracic spine, we're gonna flip our toes, point your feet. If you can, you're gonna sit back on your heels. Now, you need to be to get here, so if that bothers you, use your pillows, use your yoga blocks, it's just as needed. What I want, hands really close to your knees, Danny. Bring those hands nice and close. The cueing stays the same as our global cat-cow. Pushing hands forward when you round the back, dragging hands towards you when you arch the back. But now, in this position, I want you to let your pelvis tuck. Let that lumbar spine sink a little bit into flexion. Don't crank it there, but allow yourself to block your L spine out of the way. The whole time you're gonna keep this PPT, your pelvis tucked under. You're not gonna use your lumbar spine. So, hands dragging forwards in the floor. I want you to try and round your mid back, round your upper back, round your very upper back, and now your chin's gonna tap down. So just T-spine flexion, do your best, it's hard. Drag hands towards you, try and lift your chest, lift your collarbones and sternum, peel slowly to the eyes, try not to lose your PPT. This is so hard, Danny makes it look easy because she practices. This should feel like you're barely moving. Hands forward, one more rep, try neck first. Round your neck, round your upper back, round your mid T-spine and your low T-spine. Hold that, Danny, not here, it's so tough. Last half rep, drag hands, we peel, lifting chest, lifting sternum, lifting collarbones, finally the eyes. So, cat-cow options. Global cat-cow is training the full spine. We can come down to the elbows to train the lumbar. We can sit back on our heels to train the T-spine. Next up, I want to train the hips. We're coming back to a quadruped position. Have your tennis ball handy. So, quadruped position, you're going to take that tennis ball, put it right behind your right knee. This is now a block. Again, we're using level 2 cars, using this to irradiate tension and keep things more strict. I want you to point your foot, Danny, plantar flex, squeeze that tennis ball, feel your hamstring. From there, we're gonna get 2 quadruped hip cars, and then we're gonna show you a progression out of a plank. Nice and slow here, tension, especially in your left hand, you can always post it wider if you need to. Flex your knee towards your hip forward. Open your hip up and out, try not to cheat with your spine. Internally rotate, drive heel up, squeeze your knee in. Decelerate, tap knee, and then reverse. Extend up high, drive knee outside of foot. Peel, knee driving up towards elbow and squeezing through. That's 1 rep. You're only doing 1 more there. Imagine, I'm not gonna ask you to do it, but imagine there was a yoga block on your back or something like it. Don't let that spine tilt around as if you're gonna drop it. Keep these strict. Tension in those hands. Rep 2, flex forward. Open that hip, abduct, more, Danny, more. Hold that, internally rotate, heel up, keep your knee up high. Scrape up into extension, pull through, decelerate down. Gotta reverse, extend, drive up, knee fights out. Follow with that heel, knee stays up high, peel to that elbow and squeeze through. So if you thought that was easy, I don't think you did, but I want you to try progressing this. Come into a plank, tennis ball comes out of the way. We're gonna do the same thing now out of our plank position. You can feel free to stay there if needed. Come into a plank, Danny. Might be a little tricky to get the ball behind the knee, but I placed the ball for Danny. You can feel free to do this without point that toe. Gonna go ahead, flex forward to that elbow, super hard here. Open that hip, don't use your spine, internally rotate, squeeze up, Danny, knee follows, lower almost to the floor, reverse, extend, drive up, knee drives out. This is external rotation, pull through. 1 more time. If you need to reset, you can, but fight for it. Flex, abduct, open that hip up, internally rotate, driving into extension, lower the knee down. Then we reverse, extending up, heel up high, fight, knee out, heel stays up, keep pulling all the way through, set down to that knee, ball comes out of the way, gotta flip sides. So if you think of mobility training as a warm-up, if you think joint strength equates to rolling around on a foam roller, then I have to disagree with you. This is joint strength training. This is how you should be doing your mobility work. Hard tension, working through your global ranges of motion, fighting to own each joint strength independent of all else. Now, right back in, left hip, tennis ball is going behind that knee. I want you to plantar flex, squeeze that ball. Squeeze that hip forwards, open out, internally rotate, squeeze up and through. Again, always assessing how does this compare to the opposite side. Extend up, externally rotate, knee drives out, keep that heel up, pull towards that elbow, follow through. Take a second if you need to. Rep 2 here, more tension, opposite hand, flex forward. Open that hip, challenge it. More abduction, more internal rotation. Don't drop that tennis ball. It shows your knee trying to help out. Don't get sloppy. Extend, externally rotate, drive, pull towards that elbow, fight through, decelerate down. Again, you do not have to progress these. Quadruped hip cars, especially with that ball, are so tough. But if you want a little bit of extra spice today, come into that playing position. Might be tricky with a tennis ball, but if you can get it there, put it behind that knee. Point that foot, 2 more reps, flex forward, open that hip up high, keep tension in your hands, then internally rotate, squeeze up, squeeze through. Almost tap knee, reverse, extension, external rotation, knee drives up, foot falls. Abduct, pull, and flex forward, drive, knee to elbow. Open that hip up, more abduction, Danny. Internally rotate, pull through, last half rep. Remember, there's something on your back, don't drop it. Drive your knee out, heel follows, and finish through. Hip cars all finished. So tennis ball is gonna come out of the way. Now that our hips are prepped, we're gonna come into the 90-90 base position, right leg in back, left leg in front. Have that tennis ball, we've got shoulder cars. So 90-90, super challenging position. Trail leg, hip, knee, and heel form a right angle. Lead leg, hip, knee, and heel form a right angle. Make sure you're strict with these. Try not to have the knee too far forward, the knee too far out. Make sure the heel is in line with the knee. In this position, I want your opposite hand posted, that left hand down. If you need to, if you feel like it's tough to sit upright, can feel free to post on the yoga block, maybe even elevate your lead hip at the yoga block. That would be another regression. But I want to get some high tension shoulder cars here. The big thing about training our shoulder cars in 90-90 is making sure we resist thoracic rotation. Gives us a good position to really radiate through our opposite hand and squeeze our thighs down into the floor to get our shoulder cars nice and strict. 4 reps, do your best. You're gonna squeeze your tennis ball, start with it about in line with your heel. From there, I want you to externally rotate, show the ball to the sky, start scooping up. As you drive overhead, flexion, I want you to internally rotate, try and show that ball. Try and show your knuckles out, reach as far behind you as you possibly can. Try and finish with the ball showing out your knuckles to your hip. From there, we gotta reverse, extend back, high tension. Externally rotate, your chest is forward, turn your pinky forward, your thumb back, drive overhead, keep externally rotating, and decelerate back to that heel starting position. Check in with your 90s, more tension, squeeze that ball, ER, scoop across. Drive overhead, flex, internally rotate, no motion in your chest. Keep your chest forward, max out IR and extension, reversing, extending up, externally rotating now, turning opposite way. Thumb turns, pinky follows all the way across the body. 2 more, do your best. Externally rotate, drive up. As you get overhead, you can internally rotate, challenge yourself, max it out, max it out, max it out. Turn all the way into that hip and reverse. Again, you're trying to pop that tennis ball in your hand. Imagine I was there trying to take it from you. Don't let me. Finish through that shoulder car. You've got 1 more on this side. ER, driving up, driving through. Internally rotate overhead. Max that out, keep turning, keep turning, keep turning all the way into the hip. Last half rep, reverse, extend, externally rotate, drive overhead. Max out your ER and finish through. So take that tennis ball off to the side. Gonna talk you through a bear sit transfer. Basically, it's an isometric movement path working to get from this side of our 90-90 to the opposite for our other shoulder. So a bear sit transfer, please follow along, go slow. We don't flop through these. We're not flowing here, we're controlling our motion. It's an iso-MP as if you're trying to move isometrically, fighting through air. Now, take your time here. What we do, we plantar flex our trail ankle, then we lift our here. That's tibia internal rotation. Be gentle. We slowly, keeping our lead knee down as long as possible, start opening our hip, pivoting. Big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, pinky toe, open your hip. Allow your chest to follow. As you need to, that leg lifts, and now we switch. So hand comes to the ground, this fist comes up, squeeze that fist, your weight's here. Plantar flex and start internally rotating trail leg. As you need to, let your weight shift turning towards your lead thigh, and now that's a 90-90 transfer. We're right into the opposite side for our shoulder cars. So 90-90, now we've got that tennis ball back in our left hand, we've got our 4 shoulder cars. Please plant that hand. Don't like to do these without the hand down, they just get sloppy. Remember, your goal, resist any thoracic rotation. Chest is squared forward, hips are radiating down to the floor, outside arm, really stiff arming down into the ground. Squeeze that ball by your heel. We start by externally rotating, driving across. Overhead, we flex, we internally rotate, reach, reach, reach. Keep turning in, max out that extension, try and finish on your hip. Take a second, find your scapula, Danny. Squeeze that ball, extend up, find my hand. Externally rotate, turn, more rotation, drive overhead, keep turning out, show the ball to the sky, finish across the body, reset to the heel. Take a second. They're tougher than you think. Really tension through that outside hand, externally rotating, driving up, shoulder stays low, away from the ear. Internally rotate, turn that humerus, max out your rotation, keep turning all the way into extension. Check in with that upper back, tension through those hips, extending up. Externally rotate, turn out, show that ball, keep turning, pinky turning forward, thumb turning out, max out your ER across the body. Last 2 reps, externally rotate, reach across, drive overhead, max out your IR, try and keep shoulder away from ear, turn in. This is the fight here. How's that internal rotation? Show that ball out. Can you achieve this position? Extending up. Keep that tension in your outside hand, Danny. Show that ball, keep turning, max out your ER all the way. Keep turning out, adduct across, and decelerate down. Last rep here, externally rotate, driving in, fighting up. Again, mobility training is not a warm-up. This is training to own our shoulder and make sure it is strong, independent of anything else. Finishing at that hip, try not to get sloppy on that ball. Remember, I'm gonna try and take it away from you. Squeeze it, extend up, keep going. Externally rotate, drive overhead, max out that position, and finish through slowly down to the heel. So we're not going to do the full transfer. What we're going to do this time on this side is half a rep and then freeze and bear sit to train our scapula. So nothing changes. Starting position, you're going to lift that fist. We plantar flex ankle. We start with tibia internal rotation. We preset our knee. It's not just hip rotation, it's knee rotation too. High tension trail leg. Start opening thigh, pivoting second toe, third toe. Max out that hip position. As you need to, allow that thigh to lift. As you can see, Danny's got a great bear sit. If it's harder for you to get here, that's okay. Stay in your bear sit position and grab your yoga block. So the bear sit position, both hips are up and out, challenges us to maintain our spine position. Think about your thoracic spine. Really peel your chest towards the sky. Try not to lean away. Challenge your ability just to sit upright and bear sit. From there, you're going to squeeze your yoga block right in front of your chest. We're going to train our scapular cards nice and slow in this position. So good bear sit, knees driving out, chest lifted towards that yoga block. Squeezing the yoga block in your hands, feel your pecs, your biceps. I want you to protract forward, shrug up, pinch back, shrug down. Go smaller than you think. Forward and up. This is again a level 2 car now for our scapula, blocking our shoulders into adduction. Forward, squeeze up, pinch back, shrug down. Love this option to irradiate both sides of the scapula. Up, back, and down. Forward and up, back, and down. Freeze there. Try 4 reps opposite way. Retract, shrug up, reach forward, shrug down. Higher tension than you think. Pinch down and back. Squeezing back, shrugging up, forward. Notice the yoga block should draw a little circle if you do this properly. Down, pinch back, shrug up, reach forward. One more, down and back. Pinching back, shrugging up, reaching forward. All right, so I do want to finish through the second half of that bear sit transfer just to make sure we got both sides. And then we got one more challenge for your shoulders, don't worry. What we're going to do, take your left hand to the floor, post your weight away from the right leg into that hand. The right leg, we're going to plantar flex ankle and start slowly internally rotating down. As you do so, shift your weight over that left hip. We wind up back in 90-90. You've now hit your transfer both sides. All finished in 90-90. We've trained our shoulder cars. We've trained our scapular cars. What we've got to finish up is a challenge. These are swimmer hovers. Basically, it's a progression of a shoulder car and a scapular car and involves some elbows as well. I love to train these down prone on our belly. They're super tough. Quickly, if laying prone on the floor bothers anything, feel free to do these seated instead. Now, the swimmer hover, similar to that bear sit transfer we just practiced, this is putting a bunch of different joints together. It's great to challenge more joint interdependent movements after the joints are trained individually. So we like to do this type of training at the end of one of our classes, working up towards it. So here's what we're gonna do. Hands are on the low back. This biases both shoulders into internal rotation. From there, let your elbows sink. Take a second. We start by setting scapula into retraction. Pinch your shoulder blades, Danny, a little more. More pinch, good. Hold that. Then we pre-tension shoulders up into extension like this. Try and keep shoulders low. Find that position. Radiate upper back. Squeeze your triceps. From there, harder than it looks. Lift just your hands up. Hold that. Active shoulder IR. Extend both elbows straight. Freeze there. Scapula pinch. Triceps scream at you. Start externally rotating. Turn out just like our shoulder card. Max out both shoulders turning towards the sky. All the way tight to your ears, Danny. Start bending your elbows, keep your scapula, search for the back of the head or the neck, slowly lower elbows to the ground. That's only a half rep. Find your pelvis tuck, find your scapular retraction, your elbows lift, just your elbows. Now your hands lift, just your hands. Hold, straighten the arms. Straighten, Danny, straighten. Freeze there, so tough. Internally rotate both shoulders. Reach, squeeze back, in, more in. Turn all the way, bend. Search for the small of the back. Keep those scapula pinching, set down slowly. That's only one full rep. We're only doing 2 as these are super challenging. Last rep of the mini class. Retract, peel those elbows up, more tension, Danny. I'm gonna challenge you, make sure you follow the cueing. Lift your hands up, hold that. 3, 2, 1, straighten, up higher, hold that. Squeeze 1 inch up higher. Rotate, hold right there. Rotate more, hold right there, more, good. Reach, drive overhead, more scapula pinch. Start bending those elbows, search the back of the head. Keep your hands off, hold that. 3, 2, 1, set down. Danny's like, what the heck, coach? You are making this tough today, gotta work for it. Last half rep. Find scapular retraction, pinch, elbows lift first, then hands, hold. 3, 2, 1, extend, fight for it. Arms up higher, Danny, arms up higher. Internally rotate both shoulders, turn, breathe, exhale through this fight. Keep turning in, hold that, hands up higher, challenge your extension. Bend your elbows, you're not gonna set down. Bend your elbows, hover your shirt, keep hovering. 3, 2, 1, fail down slow, elbows fall to the ground. Big breath in. Big breath out. Last thing of the mini class, I want to talk you through some breathing. Just whooped your butt, time to cool things down. So, comfortable seated position. You do not have to sit cross-legged. You do not have to sit in lotus. You do not have to be in any type of position you don't want to be. You can lie on the floor. You can sit in a comfortable chair. I don't really care. What I do want you to do is find a position that you can sit upright. And in that position, I want you to start breathing. A big soft inhale, ideally through your nose. And a big slow exhale, can be through the nose or the mouth, whatever feels good. With the next breath, I want a 4-second inhale. Find that tempo. And I want an 8-second exhale, slow. Slower, keep breathing out, exhale your air. Next breath in, as you inhale, check in, what do you feel move? Can you feel that breath rise into your upper back? Breathe all that air out. Can you feel your rib cage pull down? We've got 2 more breaths, just like this. Slow in and slow out. 1 more. Call this 4x8 breathing, just tempo breathing, working on feeling our rib cage expand 3-dimensionally on the inhale. And feel the rib cage pull down and depress on the exhale. With breathing, we can work on a parasympathetic breath just like that, very low intensity. We can also work on what we call maximal expansive breathing, which is just more intensity. Bigger breath in, bigger breath out. The same tempo, about a 4 count in and an 8 count out. But again, given we're at the end of class, take your intensity down a little. I do want big inhales and big exhales, but not quite maximal. So you can even close your eyes for this one. Big inhale. More and more air in. Big exhale. This should be loud enough someone nearby would hear it. Breath in. Notice how the chest will rise. Breath out. Notice how the spine will flex slightly. Breathing in. More and more air in. Breathing out. All that air out. Last 2. 4-second inhale. 8-second exhale. Maximal breathing here 1 more time. Great thing to do at the end of a class, check in with your breath. Last drill of the day, unilateral breathing. You might have a different name for it. All you're gonna do, take your thumb, cover 1 nostril, give me 5 inhales and exhales just to the left side. Breath in, breath out. try and keep the tempo. Still a 4 count in, 8 count out. It's harder than you think. Now, breathing, we tend to have funky compensations. Notice here, are you tensioning your jaw? Teach yourself to breathe through that one nostril. No tension in the jaw, no neck tension. You got one more here, nice and slow. Then last 5 breaths, switching nostrils, cover the left, breathing to the right. Always assessing, is it harder for you to breathe through one nostril than the other? If it is, maybe you've got some compensations going on. Practice breathing through the nose here. Really get detailed with it and teach yourself not to depend on the neck, not to depend on the chest. A lot of muscles can get involved when we breathe. The best way to fix it is to practice. Close the eyes and check in. You've got one more breath in, one more breath out. So that's a mini class there, really giving you a glimpse into what a full class would be like training with Danny and I. If you didn't know this already, we have a 12-week membership called the Remote Kinstretch Membership, the RKM. We launch every 3 months. Our next group launches in January, and it's 12 weeks of training just like this, but full length. It starts easy, gets much harder as we go. So we would love to maybe have you join us in January. You can head to our website for more information, drop us an email, but we hope you enjoyed this free mini class. Drop us some feedback.